Have you noticed that no matter how many manifestation techniques you try, how many self-help books you read, or how many positive affirmations you repeat, your life remains stuck in the same patterns? The truth no one has told you is this: you don't need more information, you need to change your vibrational frequency, and there's a scientific and spiritual path to do this right now. Itzhak Bentov, a physicist and mystic who worked with NASA, discovered something revolutionary. 3 specific forces, when activated together, completely reorganize your energetic structure and attract a totally new reality. We're not talking about superficial positive thinking or empty visualizations. We're talking about quantum physics applied to human consciousness. Most people waste years trying to manifest prosperity, healthy relationships, and inner peace using methods that simply don't work because they don't attack the root of the problem, the dense vibration you carry without realizing it. In this video, you'll discover exactly what these 3 forces are, how they work together, and, most importantly, how to apply them immediately to transform your frequency and, consequently, your entire life. Get ready, because what you're about to learn here will challenge everything you've been taught about spirituality. Modern science is finally catching up with what mystics have always known. Everything around us, including ourselves, is fundamentally vibration in motion. Every atom in your body at this exact moment is oscillating at specific frequencies, creating energetic patterns that extend far beyond your skin. The cells that make up your tissues aren't solid and static structures as we learned in school. They vibrate, pulse, and communicate through measurable electromagnetic field. Your thoughts, those internal narratives you repeat day after day, are also vibrations, electrical impulses that travel through neural circuits creating measurable waves that can be detected by sensitive equipment. But vibration goes far beyond what technology can measure. Your emotions carry distinct frequencies. Fear vibrates in a completely different way from joy. Anger has an energetic signature totally opposite to compassion. These emotional frequencies don't stay contained within you. They radiate like waves in a lake, creating interference patterns with everything and everyone around you. The entire universe functions like an immense symphony where each element plays its particular note, and you, conscious of it or not, are contributing your own sound to this cosmic composition. Physicist Max Planck, father of quantum theory, went so far as to declare that all matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force that makes atomic particles vibrate. He was scientifically describing what the ancients called prana, chi, or vital energy. Reality isn't made of solid things, but of vibratory processes in constant transformation. What you perceive as solid, this chair where you're sitting, the walls around you, your own body, are actually energy fields vibrating at frequencies so fast that your senses interpret them as physical matter. This understanding changes everything, because if everything is vibration, then the cause of any physical manifestation is at the vibrational level. A conflicted relationship, a chronic illness, recurring financial problems, all these challenges we see as separate external events actually share a common root. Dense or disharmonious vibrational patterns you've been sustaining, often without realizing it. Vibration always comes first, physical manifestation comes after. Trying to change your life without changing your vibration is like trying to change your image in the mirror without changing yourself. You can gesture and make faces, but the mirror will always reflect exactly what you are being. Most people live completely disconnected from this vibrational reality. They believe their emotions are inevitable reactions to external events, that thoughts are just mental noise with no real consequence, that the body is a biological machine separate from mind and spirit. This fragmentation of consciousness generates deep and unnecessary suffering. Modern human beings have become out-of-tune musical instruments, emitting chaotic frequencies that attract more chaos, perpetuating cycles of pain, scarcity, and confusion. But just as an instrument can be retuned, you can deliberately adjust your vibrational frequency. David Bohm, a quantum physicist who worked with Einstein, proposed that the universe functions like a hologram. Each small part contains information about the whole. You're not separate from the universe, you're a holographic expression of it. Your personal vibrations influence and are influenced by the greater field. Changing your frequency isn't an isolated act of personal development, it's a direct contribution to the evolution of collective consciousness. Every time you raise your vibration, you make it easier for other people to do the same, creating waves of transformation that propagate beyond what you can imagine. The problem is that most techniques taught to raise your vibration are superficial and temporary. Positive visualizations, mechanical affirmations, crystals, incense, none of this produces real change if not accompanied by a genuine transformation in emotional and mental structure. Vibration doesn't elevate by decree or wishful thinking, it elevates through specific forces that reorganize your entire energy field from the base. And these forces aren't abstract or philosophical concepts, they are concrete powers that can be consciously activated to rewrite your reality from the most fundamental level. The first of these forces is perhaps the most misunderstood of all, love. But we're not talking about that romantic love from movies, nor the overwhelming passion that makes the heart race, much less the conditional love that says, "I love you if you do this or that." The love that reorganizes human vibration is a state of being completely different from what popular culture teaches. It's a specific vibrational frequency that sustains all creation, from the most distant galaxies to the smallest subatomic particle. True love isn't an emotion that comes and goes depending on external circumstances. It's a permanent energy field to which you can consciously connect, like tuning a radio to a specific frequency. Joe Dispenza demonstrated in his studies that people capable of sustaining elevated states of unconditional love show measurable changes in brain chemistry and even in genetic expression. DNA begins to function differently under the influence of this frequency, activating genes that were dormant and silencing genes related to stress and inflammation. The big problem is that society has completely distorted the meaning of this word. Love has become synonymous with disguised neediness. I love you usually means I need you to feel complete, I depend on your approval, I'm afraid of being alone. This type of conditional love is actually a form of fear vibrating at a low frequency, creating relationships based on invisible contracts where each party demands that the other fill their internal void. Relationships like this drain energy instead of amplifying it, create dependency instead of freedom. Unconditional love operates on a completely different plane. It doesn't need anything, doesn't demand anything, doesn't control anything. It simply recognizes the fundamental connection between all things and celebrates that unity. You can unconditionally love someone who has deeply hurt you, because this love isn't a reaction to the other person's behavior, it's a conscious choice to vibrate at a specific frequency independent of circumstances. Working with unconditional love means bringing this frequency to every area of your life. At work, instead of doing things just for the salary or recognition, you infuse love into what you create, transforming each task into an act of genuine contribution. In relationships, instead of expecting the other person to satisfy your emotional needs, you become a source of love that overflows naturally, without effort or sacrifice. Resistance to unconditional love usually comes from the ego, which has built its entire identity based on separation and control. The ego is afraid of dissolving in this frequency because it threatens its fundamental structure. It prefers conditional love, which can be bargained with, manipulated, used as currency. But staying trapped in this limited frequency of the ego guarantees you'll remain in a cycle of suffering, attracting people and situations that reflect this vibration of scarcity. Sustaining this vibration alone, without the support of the other forces, eventually becomes unsustainable. Unconditional love needs two fundamental allies to create lasting transformation, two forces that work together to dissolve the deepest blocks that prevent vibrational elevation. The second force that reorganizes your vibrational structure is forgiveness, but not that superficial forgiveness you declare with your lips while resentment still burns in your chest. True forgiveness is a surgical cut in the energetic bonds that tie you to the past, freeing you from an invisible prison that consumes your vitality day after day. Each hurt you carry functions like an energetic cord connecting you to that person or situation, and through that cord constantly flows a current of dense energy that keeps you trapped at a low frequency. Bentov explained that the universe operates through closed energetic circuit. Holding on to resentment is like keeping an active short circuit in your system, continuously draining the energy that could be being used to create, prosper, and evolve. The unpunished anger you nurture against that family member who disappointed you, the silent grudge against the ex-partner who betrayed you, the chronic indignation against the unfair boss, each of these emotions keeps you vibrationally tied to these people, giving them power over your energy field even if you have no physical contact. The consequences of this victim vibration go far beyond emotional suffering. Psychosomatic medicine has repeatedly demonstrated that repressed emotions, especially anger and resentment, manifest as physical diseases. Liver problems often carry stored anger, heart issues can reflect deep hurts, autoimmune diseases often express an internal attack related to guilt or self-punishment. Your body is constantly translating your emotional frequencies into physical symptoms, trying to show you where you need to release and forgive. But the most devastating block that lack of forgiveness creates is in the area of prosperity. Many people wonder why they work so hard and can't prosper financially, and the answer usually lies in the resentments they carry. The victim vibration, life was unfair to me, so-and-so harmed me, I deserved more, is incompatible with the frequency of abundance. The universe can't deliver prosperity to you while you vibrate in emotional scarcity, tightly holding the inventory of your wounds as if they were war trophies. The most difficult forgiveness, the one most people avoid their entire lives, is self-forgiveness. You can forgive everyone around you and still remain trapped in a low vibration if you don't release the guilt and shame you feel about yourself. That mistake you made years ago, that opportunity you let pass, those words you spoke and can't take back, all of this continues echoing in your energy field as a frequency of inadequacy and self-sabotage. Self-forgiveness isn't giving yourself a license to act without responsibility. It's recognizing that you did the best you could with the level of consciousness you had at that moment, and that continuing to punish yourself doesn't change the past, it only contaminates the present and future. Guilt and shame are extremely dense vibrations that literally paralyze your ability to evolve, creating a stagnation that manifests in all areas of life. But forgiving alone, without the presence of the third force, can become an empty mental exercise. Forgiveness needs a specific fuel to become genuine and transformative. The third force that completes this transformative trinity is gratitude, but not that mechanical gratitude you repeat in morning lists or automatic rituals. The gratitude that elevates vibration is a state of deep reverence for life, a visceral recognition that you're participating in a cosmic miracle every second of your existence. Each breath you take is a gift that billions of biochemical processes work to sustain. Each beat of your heart is a blessing that happens without you needing to make any conscious effort. True gratitude isn't a mental list of good things you possess. It's a vibrational frequency that resonates in harmony with the universe's abundance. Bentov observed that the entire cosmos operates in a state of continuous generosity. The sun doesn't charge for the mornings it illuminates, the earth doesn't demand payment for the fruits it produces, the air doesn't negotiate contracts before entering your lungs. Everything flows in a dance of perpetual giving, and gratitude is your way of consciously entering this dance. The problem is that most people can only feel gratitude after receiving something desired, transforming this powerful force into a conditioned reaction instead of a permanent state. They're grateful for the new job, for healing from illness, for the relationship that worked out, but they live in constant complaint about everything they don't yet have. This conditional gratitude keeps you trapped in a vibration of scarcity because the focus remains on what's lacking, not on what's already present. Authentic gratitude completely inverts this logic. You don't give thanks for the results, you give thanks for the very possibility of being alive and conscious in this moment. You don't wait for prosperity to arrive to be grateful, you vibrate in gratitude right now, with what you have, and this vibration attracts more of what deserves to be recognized. The universe functions like a vibrational mirror, it returns to you the frequency you emit, and gratitude is one of the most magnetic frequencies that exist. But here's the secret few people understand. Love, forgiveness, and gratitude don't work separately. They are three aspects of the same fundamental force that needs to be activated together to create real change. Love without forgiveness becomes sentimental and weak. Forgiveness without gratitude can become bitter and sacrificial. Gratitude without love is superficial and calculating. The three forces intertwine, mutually strengthen each other, creating a vibrational triad that reorganizes your entire energetic structure from the root. You can notice this in practice. Try to feel genuine gratitude for someone you haven't yet forgiven. It's almost impossible. Try to forgive someone without a minimum of love or compassion. It doesn't work. Try to truly love without gratefully recognizing the blessing it is to be able to experience that feeling. The force is lost. All three need to be present, dancing together in a coherent symphony, for the vibrational transformation to be deep and lasting. But activating these three forces simultaneously and sustaining them in the face of daily life's challenges is where the true spiritual battle happens. Integration of the three forces. The integration of these three forces, love, forgiveness, and gratitude, isn't an isolated event that happens during an inspiring meditation afternoon. It's a continuous process of vibrational realignment that begins to reorganize your entire reality from the most fundamental level. You can feel this happening. Impossible relationships begin to resolve or dissolve naturally, opportunities that seemed blocked for years suddenly open up, physical symptoms that medicine couldn't explain begin to disappear without external intervention. Quantum physics shows us that the observer affects the observed, that consciousness actively participates in the creation of reality. David Bohm called this the implicate order, a field of infinite potentialities that unfolds into concrete reality based on the observer's vibrational frequency. You've always been creating your reality through your vibration, but doing it unconsciously, on autopilot, repeating the same dense patterns inherited from family, culture, traumatic experiences from the past. Consciously balancing the three forces is taking control of this creative process. Your personal frequency begins to align with the universe's field of abundance, and things that previously seemed impossible or reserved for special people become accessible to you. Prosperity ceases to be an abstract concept and becomes a concrete experience. Inner peace ceases to be a distant goal and becomes your natural state. Joy ceases to be a passing emotion dependent on external circumstances and becomes the foundation of your existence. But it's exactly at this point that the greatest resistance appears. The ego, that psychological structure you've built throughout life to navigate a world that seemed dangerous and hostile, begins to perceive it's losing control. It was programmed to protect you through fear, distrust, obsessive control over people and circumstances. The elevated vibration threatens to dissolve this structure, and the ego reacts by creating all kinds of internal sabotage. Suddenly you begin to have thoughts like, "This is spiritual illusion. I don't deserve to be happy while others suffer. This worked for other people but won't work for me." The ego invents sophisticated excuses, disguised as humility or realism, to pull you back to the known and comfortable frequency of limitation. It prefers familiar suffering to unknown joy, because in suffering it knows who you are, it has control over the narrative. The spiritual path isn't about transcending or destroying the ego, as many mistaken teachings suggest. It's about disciplining it, training it, transforming it into a loyal servant instead of an uncontrolled tyrant. Bentov used the metaphor of a trained pit bull, a powerful force, intense, capable of protecting and defending when necessary, but completely under the command of higher consciousness. You don't kill the dog, you train it to obey your conscious commands instead of instinctively reacting to every shadow or noise. But even disciplining the ego and keeping the three forces active, you'll discover that vibrational transformation brings practical consequences that many people aren't prepared to face. The law of resonance is relentless and makes no exceptions. Each person, each situation, each opportunity in your life is vibrating at a specific frequency, and you can only attract or maintain connection with what resonates with your own frequency. This means that as you raise your vibration through love, forgiveness, and gratitude, everything around you that vibrates at an incompatible frequency naturally begins to move away. Not because you're rejecting these people or situations, but because there simply no longer exists vibrational resonance between you. This process can be extremely painful and confusing. Friendships of decades begin to lose meaning. Conversations that once seemed interesting now sound empty and repetitive. Family relationships become tense for no apparent reason, even though no one has done anything wrong. Jobs that were once satisfying become unbearable, as if you've grown too large for that space. Many people, frightened by these ruptures, try to return to the old vibration, sacrificing their growth to maintain the illusion of stability and belonging. But you can't keep the old and the new at the same time. It's basic physics. Two incompatible frequencies can't coexist harmoniously in the same space. You can try to force it, you can pretend nothing has changed, you can diminish yourself to fit into old spaces, but this only creates a devastating internal conflict that eventually manifests as anxiety, depression, or physical illness. The universe is trying to move you to a new level of experience, but you're holding tightly to structures that belong to the old version of you. Bentov observed that the evolution of consciousness is never comfortable. It requires continuous death and rebirth, releasing layers of identity that no longer serve, embracing the unknown even when every fiber of your being screams for security and predictability. People who really transform their lives aren't those who avoid discomfort, they're those who develop courage to move through it, trusting that on the other side exists a more authentic and full version of themselves waiting to emerge. What's interesting is that as you release relationships and situations that no longer resonate with you, new encounters begin to appear in surprising ways. People who vibrate at your new frequency emerge as if magnetized to you, opportunities that were never available before open up, synchronicities begin to happen with a frequency that defies any rational explanation. You realize you weren't losing anything, you were just making space to receive something much more aligned with who you really are. Max Planck affirmed that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. The energy you invest in maintaining relationships and situations out of obligation or fear doesn't disappear, it gets trapped in a closed circuit of survival. Releasing these disharmonious connections isn't selfishness or coldness, it's intelligent redirection of energy toward what truly nourishes and expands your consciousness. But understanding this intellectually is very different from living this transformation in practice, especially in the face of other people's reactions to you. The question that remains is, are you really going to do something different from now on, or will you return to the same patterns that keep you trapped? Will you have the courage to forgive that person who still occupies space in your mind? Will you choose to vibrate in love even when everything around you asks you to react with fear? Will you practice genuine gratitude or continue waiting for the perfect life to arrive to then be grateful? Is your vibration changing at this exact moment, or are you just collecting information? Leave in the comments. Which of these three forces is the most difficult for you to activate and why? This answer could be the first step of your real transformation. If you want to continue deepening on this path of consciousness elevation, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. The next video might bring exactly the missing piece in your spiritual puzzle.